Oh, well, let's do it. Leon and Carl and David Teagarden and Chuck Blackwell and Gary Gilmore, and there's a whole bunch of those guys. We all kind of grew up playing joints in and around Tulsa there and migrated to California knowing that there was nothing in Tulsa but a nightclub, $10 a night nightclub gig, but you might be able to write a song, or there was recording studios in Los Angeles, and there was better paying gigs. And so we migrated out there, the whole bunch of us, within a year's time. There was maybe 15 Okies.
After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang out.
People asked me about the song After Midnight and how Eric Clapton got a hold of it. I'd made a 45 of After Midnight. I took it to Audie in Nashville. I was playing down in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'd go up to radio stations and knock on the door and say, hey man, play my 45. So I got back to LA and, you know, I went, well, this thing's a stiff. So I gave all my friends a copy of my 45. I gave one to Carl. I think Carl probably gave it to Delaney. And at that time, after I wasn't playing with the Delaney and Bonnie anymore, they got ready to make that first Eric Clapton record that Leon and the Crickets were on, and a bunch of other people. And I guess they were all sitting around looking for material. And you know, said, well, here's one of some old guy we know. And they played him that. Now that's the way I thought it was. I've heard since then that Delaney actually recorded it. I didn't know he actually made a tape of it and then Eric put his voice on it, or what the real process was. I wasn't there.
After midnight, we're gonna chug and shine.
Snuffy Garrett asked me to make cover tunes of all the psychedelic songs of the era. So I recorded this album called Trip Down Sunset Strip, and I didn't sing on it. I got all my friends to sing. We did, you know, Over Under, Sideways Down, all the psychedelic, psychotic reaction. And so we only had 8 tunes and he wanted 12, and so he asked me to write 4 instrumentals. So I put 4 instrumentals on the album, and out of making those 4 instrumentals, I think I made a couple more, and it didn't go on the album, and I had the track, and so it was just the track of the song, and I wrote the words to After Midnight as an afterthought. So we cut a full album, and Denny Cordell is the gentleman Audie sold. Denny and Leon's record company, Shelter Records, is the label that we sold the thing to. But Denny said, well, we want you to do After Midnight. And I said, well, I've already got that out on 45. That's one Eric Clapton heard, and it was a fast version. About that speed there. And I said, well, I've already did that at that tempo. Eric Clapton's got a big hit at that tempo. And so I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll slow it down with you. At that tempo. Right. So that's the first. A lot of people think my version that was on the Naturally album was the original version of After Midnight. It wasn't. It was actually take 2.
Find out what it is, all laid back.
I guess to the general public, the songs I'm recognized for are After Midnight, Cocaine, and Call Me the Breeze, and they were all made famous by Eric Clapton. Call Me the Breeze is Leonard Skinner. If I don't do Magnolia, the ladies get mad. The ladies like the song Magnolia. It's a nice, slow, romantic song, and so I always do that. As far as my own personal thing, you know, I like all the things that have a groove to them. They're not necessarily hit songs, they're more groove things. I've made 12 albums, and some of them I can't even remember ones I made so long ago, but Audie and I have put together a compilation album. We sit down and listen to it, and there's some things that I went, golly, you know, I mean, it's like looking at old photographs. Some of the things really sound dated. They sound like, oh, well, that sounds like it's 20 years ago. And some of the things that stand up today, not necessarily the hits. The hits are popular with the folks from that era. So you do those because that's what an artist does. If you just do all your new material, which I like to do, because that's what I'm doing now, the audience, you know, starts throwing tomatoes at you.
She don't lie, she don't lie, she don't lie. Cocaine.
I moved into songwriting for economics. If I sat down and relax, I just sit and play the guitar, noodle like everybody does. I don't really try to do any of my songs. I only do that if I'm performing in front of an audience, you know, and charging them, you know. But basically, I'll be sitting around noodling and I'll come up with a song. That's kind of the birth of a lot of songs. I generally start with a guitar. Very seldom, I'm not a poet. I don't write words and then go, okay, because people will give me words and go, can you put music to this? And I go, no, that's not one of my talents. I write words to what I'm playing. There's one thing that was on this album that I don't even remember doing. It's me, and I'm doing it, but I go, when did I do that, and how did I do it? You know, it's one of those, that's really the creative process. And some of them I remember every detail, the temperature of the room of that day, and other things I can't remember even recording a song. That's a creative process. Probably all artistic, creative people go through that.
You said you love me, I can't see through that. Lies, lies, lies.
For many years, we didn't do interviews. We never talked to any press. So, as you all know, working in the media, you got to have something that's interesting, or people just, I mean, it's you know, to get people's attention nowadays, you almost have to, you know, set off a bomb. So what they did, they needed a moniker of some kind so they can tag you and say, well, JJ's mysterious. I'm not mysterious any more than y'all are. He's laid back and mysterious. I didn't make that up. My music is laid back. I'm not. I'm a nervous jerk. That was a moniker that was stuck on me so they'd have something to say. You know, well, what's JJ like? Well, he's laid back, mysterious. And they went, oh, okay, I understand that.
Going down, going down.
I had so many people tell me the Dire Straits sounded like a lot of my records that I started believing it. I could hear some of the things, and I don't know, it's not obvious, the undercurrents of some of the grooves and stuff, the chord changes. I used certain kind of minors in some of the old songs I wrote. It sounded like he might have heard some of that, but I don't hear any records by anybody that I don't hear an influence. I go, oh, well, they heard that. That comes because I'm old, and I've heard music for the last 50 years. And so I go, oh yeah, they picked that up. And I even hear my own records and go, oh, I picked that up off of so-and-so. We all do that. That's what musicians do. We call it stealing or whatever, but it's the way we learn. We learn from the older guys and pass it on to the next generation. The next generation picks it up from us, packs it on. They change it a little bit, make it for their generation. I'm sure there's some things in there that Mark Knopfler got off me. There's some things he got off a lot of other people too. That's how he learned how to play.
Have you heard that rumor that's going around? You got a man way across town. It's the same old story. Tell me, why does it end? Yes, I heard the news. It's the same old blues again.
Music changes about every 2 or 3 years. A new bunch of people come in. Some of it I like, some of it that's popular I really like. I bought Tupac's last record. I'm a big fan of Sade. I love her music. I think I own all her albums and have played. As far as the old guys, I like Mose Allison, Ray Charles, you know. I try to listen if I like it. There's a lot of stuff that's real popular and everybody's raving about and I care nothing about. And there's some things that's real popular and everybody's raving about. I go, yeah, that's really good. Everybody has their own musical taste, you know.
They call me the breeze. I keep low and low. They call me the breeze. I keep blowing and low. I ain't got me nobody.
From time to time I write, you know, if I have a contract and go, okay, you owe us another album, you know, go, oh God, I gotta get the guitar and the tape recorder and write some new ditties. And sometimes I just write for the hell of it, you know, and I don't have to write anymore. I'm financially okay, and And I just kind of do it for the fun of it now, you know, like this deal here is just kind of the fun of it. That's what's going to be fun. We're to put in the plug, folks. We're trying to sell all my old records. So, you know, that's what we're doing this interview about. Is we're going to try to put out some of the best stuff, kind of stuff. So y'all run down to your local record store and pick it up.